Right, welcome to our second feature match of week 4 here for Duskmourn League. And we got, a little early to be having one of these, but we'll take it nonetheless. This is actually a death match. Both players are on 10 losses, so I don't know if this was specifically arranged by the league committee members who schedule the matches that both are on 10 losses, but we're going to see somebody get eliminated here. What's going on in Joaquin's hand over there?
So looks like we're on red black, and we're coming out hot. We got the percussionist going. We've got a turn inside out in hand, a fear of missing out that's going to hit the battlefield now.
That's pressure.
A bedhead beastie that's going to the bin, replaced by another fear of missing out, and a final vengeance, just for a little backup.
Yeah, so luckily Dan does have some interaction here. He has a murder in hand as well, a meat locker, demonic council, which I haven't seen anybody make too good use of yet. That's the demonic tutor that literally has to search for a demon unless you have delirium.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got some lands here, including an unknown shores. So I believe he's playing an Esper deck. We only see blue and black cards for now, but well, I'm sure he'll be delighted that there's another one. Okay. Yeah, so Joaquin is at he's at 58 cards, so indicating may have taken more Duskmourn than not, and Dan is at 50 cards, which probably means he has taken a bunch of sets that aren't Duskmourn.
Yeah, I've played against Dan, and he's got a pretty controlling build. So I think Joaquin maybe not getting out to the fast start that he wants to could be working in Dan's favor.
Yeah, well, he's drawn a pretty nice card, Shatter the Sky, which is a board wipe from
Hmm.
Theros. So his hand is just removal, board wipe, a tutor late, very much later in the game, and it seems to probably going to be matching up well against Joaquin's deck here, which just appears to be a bunch of small creatures right now and not too much else. I mean, obviously, probably has some great cards there. We haven't seen any super heavy hitters yet.
Yeah, and his hand again is the final vengeance and a turn inside out. So
Okay, Final Vengeance is very very good with the Clockwork Percussionist there.
yeah, it's good unless your opponent doesn't play any creatures.
I mean, cards still good. You just hit them for one. In the meantime, like cards is good. Can't go wrong.
Well, the percussionist, sure. Oh, we got a second final vengeance to round things out here.
Yeah, I mean, whenever Den lands some creatures, they are gonna die. I guess. I mean, I can imagine Dan is maybe thinking about using his board wipe here, but like it doesn't feel great, but it's probably needed.
Yeah,
He's
and
playing all sorts
looks
of
like
something here. I saw Forest in his lands as well.
I think he's got an onslaught.
That makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I know Dan's somebody who is he will do everything in his power to put the most powerful cards he can in his deck and figure out the mana later.
Okay, maybe a little value off this turn inside out.
Yeah, so that's
Get a
actually good.
creature ready to go.
He actually gets to draw a card too because Shatter the Sky reads each player that controls a 4 power creature gets to draw a card. So he actually
That's
gets a card and a 2/2, which, I mean, if Dan's trying to be the control deck here, like that is very bad for him. That he played a board wipe and his opponent ended up with a card in hand and a 2/2
yeah,
after it.
and able to get the 1/1 back.
Yeah, I mean, that one's good with Final Vengeance, I guess. I mean, yeah, he does appear to have like the pieces of a sack deck. Unfortunately, Dan's just not playing any creatures, so the Final Vengeances aren't of much use, but they may be of use with this Unstoppable Slasher that he's just drawn. That's a card you are heavily incentivized to exile if you can.
I'd say so. The manifest under this face down card is another percussionist, so maybe a little value there too.
Yeah, so
Okay,
one of
doesn't.
the cards in that hand is Winter's Intervention, which will be able to gain him some life here.
Okay, he just wanted to go for the persistent specimen. Seems worth it.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be the one to sack for sure. He's just gonna. I guess
All
Joaquin's
right.
gonna get his value here. Flip it up. Get a card. Yep. Says I want a
Yep. So,
card. Give me a card. Not a card of much consequence, but better than drawing it for turn next turn.
mm-hmm.
And it comes back.
And so it's a vengeance, a mountain, and a betrayer's bargain in Joaquin's hand right now.
If Final Vengeance is the draw for Dan here, which I mean, in his deck, it's probably not going to be as good as in a black red deck, but he can sack his room now if he wants to, and he does have Delirium now, so he does have Demonic Tutor in his hand now. Basically, he has one in a
Okay.
black search for any card, and in the hands of a player as good as Dan, that is a powerful effect. Yeah, he said this specimen a little too persistent for my liking. So not your usual Final Vengeance target, but he was definitely he saw that his opponent could make use of it through sacking and whatnot.
Yeah. Any thought to saving the one life with the lost teeth that might he might be worried about his life total.
Yeah, I mean he drew another Winter's Intervention here. He
Okay.
also has another Meat Locker, and he has the Demonic Council, which I believe he's going to go get now. And I believe he has what is that? Another board wipe in there somewhere.
He does.
All right, so he's going to get his Valgavoth Onslaught here. So of note, he does not have a forest, but he has the Unknown Shores, which is the proto to the cards we get now, the grottos and the conduit pylons, and those ones are
Mm-hmm.
actually good because you get to scry or surveil. This is just those cards, but no relevant land types and no relevant enter the battlefield. Yeah, I mean he's staying alive here. This onslaught may be just that, like just an onslaught.
I think it's going to be hard for Joaquin to come back from.
Yeah, so he's on X equals 3, which is it's gonna be rough. Doesn't have to worry about a counter spell. Maybe Joaquin has like one removal in hand in Dan's mind, which is
Yeah, it seems like a bad matchup for Joaquin, honestly. I'm going through his pool, and he's got 5 Final Vengeances. He's just pretty heavy removal, red black.
yeah, it's like a little small ball, I guess. Like if you're playing against like big green decks, I think like this is where you can do well because you have all the Final Vengeances and whatnot. When you're playing a control deck, and he's drawn a second copy of Shatter the Sky. Jeez, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean this is right in Dan's wheelhouse, absolutely. So he's not going for the big make 3/5/5s this turn, which is interesting. He says
Yeah.
5/5s are okay, but drawing cards is incredible.
Oh, boy. Drawing some more here.
I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So even unless he draws a forest, he still can't. He still will only be able to do X equals 3. 1, 2,
And it's
3, 4,
just a
5, 6,
swamp
7,
off
8,
the
9.
top here for Joaquin.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just gonna keep on trucking with with his meat locker here. Says I'm going to drown you literally in cards, and maybe I won't have to show my onslaught.
Yeah, I think there's a. Joaquin's got an undead sprinter. I'm looking for some other haste creatures, some things that might make it a little awkward, but it really doesn't look like there's going to be much to trouble Dan at this point.
I mean, like as fun as it is to draw cards, he does still need to deal 20 damage at some point. But I think he's thinking the onslaught is gonna basically deal all 20 damage.
Well, we drew a needlehead, so all this card draw.
I feel like he's drawn all the cards already.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he does have this deduce that he's going to get out of his hand here. Well, he's drawn a forest, which means he can. Which means that's basically like 2 extra mana for the Valgavoth onslaught. So it means he doesn't have to put mana into the unknown shores. All right, he says it's time.
Yep, it's gonna. Gonna look pretty good.
I'm gonna make 5. Jeez,
I don't think I've seen one for 5 yet.
5 7 sevens. That should do it. I mean, do we? Is there a damnation over there? Because if not, big yikes.
Not from where I'm looking. There isn't one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he could have done it for 3, like a couple of turns ago, and been okay. But this is, he says, I want to be more than okay. I want to be undeniably winning the game on as soon as I put this on the stack. I wonder how he chose which one to
Yeah,
add.
he changed his mind actually. He
He said the
went far
middle, huh?
right and then, and then went middle. It's a shell game.
Yeah. So before draw step here, he's gonna kill off this needlehead, and yeah, I mean it's lethal even with the needlehead in play. Yeah, so I mean, Valgaboth's Onslaught, we've all seen this card, we've all played against it, we've all played with it. It's not really a fun card. It's not even fun to cast most of the time because you're so far ahead.
Yeah, so Joaquin playing all 5 Final Vengeances in his deck right now.
Is he maybe thinking about signing some of them out? We'll see.
He's not hovering over everything yet, but
Yeah,
he's looking.
yeah, he needs to get his curve like as low as possible. I think like he wants the
It's
game to end on turn like 6, and we
it's
have a
quite low.
yeah. There's a third board wipe here in Dan's pile. He has the devious, no, not devious, the deadly cover up, the one from MKM3 Black Black. Yeah. So he's got a plan, and he does have the 4 copies of Winter's Intervention to just keep him alive in the early game, and he's got a restricted office too, which is another type of board wipe. So this man is he is all about killing all creatures.
Yeah, Joaquin's definitely he took out a Scorching Dragonfire, and he's looks like he's considering how many vengeances to take out.
I seem to remember in Bloomburrow he had a similar type of deck. He had like multiple board wipes. He had the one
It,
from Bloomburrow, and then he had one from another set as well, and just drew all the cards. He was just playing Esper, all the card draw, all the cheap interaction, and I mean that one he made top 8 and made it all the way to the finals of the Mega Draft. But this league, he's he is on the verge of elimination here. But if he loses, I can probably wager to say that he's going to die doing what he loves here, which is drawing cards.
well, here's a little fun sideboard tech for drawing all those cards and casting all those spells. Maddening Hex coming in from
Okay,
out of the board.
okay,
You know,
that's one you don't
we're
see very
grasping
often.
it. No, don't see that a lot.
Yeah,
Currently,
like
still 4 Final Vengeances.
until a couple weeks ago, A, I did not know that card was in the set. B, I did not know that card existed. Like I'd never seen it before. I think I looked up. It's from like Adventures of Forgotten Realm Commander or something. It's I don't
I do not recognize the symbol. I'll tell you that much.
well, it's the special guest art, right? So it has the special guest symbol. It doesn't.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
special frame for those cards. But Dan is bringing in a few cards here. It looks like Mogus's Favor, which is an aura from Theros that gives something +2/-1. Dramatic Accusation and Ichthyomorphosis, which I was hoping to not have to say. Um, yeah, so both of those are like these 3 mana enchantments. One of them makes a creature lose all abilities, and the other one can shuffle it into the deck, and it taps it down. And he also brought in I believe, a Riptide Turtle, which is a 2 mana 0/5 with flash.
Okay, so we know what the game plan is.
It's slow it down even more. He said
Okay, something we didn't
it
see
wasn't
in
slow
game.
enough. It needs to be slower.
Yeah. So we got a dissection tools of which
That's a good
Joaquin
one.
has 2 of, which we didn't see at all in game 1.
That is a good one.
But not a lot of fire. We got another Final Vengeance and an Innocuous Rat and lands. That's what we got.
Yeah, like innocuous rat, and like I mean, like this is cute. Like I said, against like maybe like white creature decks and green creature decks, this is gonna be able to catch people and take advantage of them. But Dan's not looking to play creatures. A lot of these cards aren't doing what they're supposed to do. So in hand for Dan, we have 2 blue cards which he cannot cast at this time, since he just has a swamp and forest in hand. castable cards are well, Final Vengeance, but can't really cast that. Winter's Intervention, which he's going to use here, and he has a Magnifying Glass, which is that it's a mana rock that can eventually make clues later, which we're going to see come into play now.
Pretty cool.
So you can tap
Um,
4 and to investigate, which is it's a lot of mana. All right, so interesting decision here. Yeah, this courage actually, he does not actually have like a great answer. He has the soul enervation, so he can soul enervation something other than the courage, and then final vengeance, the soul enervation away to exile the enduring courage. I think that's probably the play. Yeah, so soul enervation, it's like a nowhere to run, but it was from MKM. Yeah, we're seeing it here.
Pretty clutch there. That was going to be a lot of damage.
Yeah, so now he can final vengeance and exile the enduring courage because he has something to sack. Yeah, like I mentioned, the final vengeance not looking like incredible in this in Dan's deck, but I mean he still has stuff he can throw away, so he's fine with that. He did draw the island here. Yeah, he was about to. I think he didn't realize he could sack his enchantment because he played the Flood Pitch Drowner, was about to sack it, and then he realized, hey, why is it allowing me to sack this enchantment? Oh, I thought he was doing. I thought he was all calculated exactly what he did, but he backed into the correct line. I guess he didn't have to play his Flood Pitch Drowner there, but
So we're
he
seeing it. Maddening Hex. We'll see what happens with it.
okay. Roll a d6. Whenever, what is it? Whenever they cast a non-creature spell, roll a d6, and they take damage.
Uh, yeah. Roll a d6. Maddening Hex deals damage to that player equal to the result.
Oh, and then you
Then
attach it to a
attached.
different opponent.
Mhm.
Why are these cards here?
I don't
I
know.
mean, I did hear rumblings that there may be multiplayer coming out in 2025. So maybe Maddening Hex, the extra text at the bottom may make sense, but for our purposes, it's just that one ability. So we get some dice rolling potentially here. Been a while. Been a while, I'll say.
Dan's just gonna draw some cards.
Yeah, and I mean he doesn't have to cast a non-creature spell in order to do that. So you might just sit back here. Yeah, he's like, it's like this is so strangely, oddly good against me. He must be having at least a bit of a fit. Like basically every spell comes with a question now. Like, is this worth casting and potentially taking 6?
Yep.
Like on average, you're going to be taking like 3 or 4, just on average, which is quite a lot actually.
Yeah, Joaquin's hovering over the oops here. I think the line might have been to sack the Lost Teeth, kill the Drowner, and have the dissection tools on the rat.
Oh yeah, that would have been quite brutal.
But now he's just gonna see if Dan elects to take the one.
He
And
does.
Joaquin's still Mountain and Vengeance. That's what's in his hand.
I mean, basically every single life point is like extremely valuable here for Dan. You
Hmm.
know, like we usually say, like life total is a resource. It's like, well, in this game, it's not really one he can afford to use on much of anything. He has to be extremely careful here. I mean, he might just roll 1 and 2 a bunch of times if he decides to cast stuff. But so in hand, he has the Demonic Council. He's at 3 Delirium. He has Extract a Confession from NKM. He has the Ichthyomorphosis, Winter's Intervention, and Meat Locker. So he has 5 non-creature spells.
I want to see it. Let's get some unique lines going here.
Dan's just thinking to himself, like, I don't want even one dice roll. How can I? Is there a way I can proceed so that not even one dice is rolled? I don't know if there is. But he could certainly get delirium and then go search for something that gets rid of it. But that's still going to be, it's still going to trigger a few times. So, like, I mean, like average case, you're going to get a 3 or 4. So let's say it triggers twice, and your opponent on average will take like 7 damage from like from 2 triggers. Like for 3 mana, that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Like this card's probably a bit higher than like a complete blank. I do think it would still be a sideboard card, and basically like you would never really main deck it under any circumstances. But out of the sideboard, this card can like really actually be great in the right matchup, and we're seeing it right here.
We're seeing it, yeah.
Like this is normally a card I would just completely have written off. Like I would never even consider it most of the time. But yeah, the good players are
Well,
able to the good players are able to find uses for these cards that are just otherwise blanks that they just throw in the set for who knows what reason.
and I think Dan was at 14. I think he took
Yeah, he
three
took
off
3.
that.
I mean, yeah, like next spell could get him really low here. So yeah, he's taking another 3. He does gain back 2, but he's on a clock here. He absolutely must answer this.
So Joaquin drew a Fear of Lost Teeth that he elected not to play.
Huh? Maybe he's wary of a board wipe. I mean, he saw the Shatter the Sky last game, and if he has his opponent's pool open, there's more
Ooh.
where that comes from. I think he's going to get something. Oh no, okay. I thought he was going to maybe get something to get rid of this Maddening Hex, but he got the best card in his deck. I mean, I don't blame him. He got his Valgavas Onslaught.
Yeah, that'll do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so he could do it if he draws a land. He could do it for X equals 4, which I mean should be good enough. we saw that X equals 5 last time be definitely good enough. X equals 4 is going to be almost definitely good enough.
I'm surprised we're not. He's not. Doesn't look like he's gonna attach the tools here. I don't.
I mean, he might just die casting spells here.
I mean, he's now within range, right?
He may die with
Every spell's.
Valgavas Onslaught on the stack.
I think he's maybe he's a little showmanship here, letting us see what happens. Uh,
Oh!
oh,
Okay, so he basically can't no longer cast a non-creature spell for the remainder of the game. Uh, yeah. Okay, I'm glad we got to see this card absolutely shine. I mean, like I said, it's gonna be very rare that they'll find a matchup where it would be correct to bring it in, but this is the one, and it's absolutely 100% correct.
boy, talk about close too.
I mean, at least Dan knows where he stands now. He can only cast creatures for the rest of this game. This is indeed maddening. I mean, this maddening hex has dealt what? Like he was at 14, went to 11, went to 8, went to 5. He's he's taken like 12, I think, from it, something like that. 12 or 13.
Yeah, I'm trying
He's
to think. I'm looking through if there's any direct damage. I mean, there's the needlehead that if wasn't dealt with.
I mean, he has the fear of lost teeth still. If he finds another one, he can just sack it immediately.
Yeah, I think we've seen both of
Okay.
the. He's only got two.
Hmm.
Um, he's got a blood fountain. I don't know if that was in the deck. I don't remember seeing that to bring two creatures back.
Yeah, any type of recursion will win on the spot, and he is taking a moment here to think about what he's doing. Like basically Dan being able to tutor both games for the Valgavathon. So I would have thought he was going to tutor for something that could get rid of this Manning Hex, but he just said, I'll take the risk. I'll take an extra bunch of damage, and I will push the damage. Yeah, he's drawn another non-creature as his deck is wont to do. So I believe it's that's the one with the unstoppable slasher under it. Yeah,
Okay, that's pretty
still a
good.
trade. Still a trade. So nothing real special going on there. I mean, it was a trade anyway, right?
Yeah,
I guess he just flipped it up because he can't cast any other spells in his hand. So why not flip it up?
we've done a Mind Leech Ghoul.
Yeah. So Dan's basically empty-handed now, and a good portion of his deck are dead draws as well.
Yeah, the glass is gonna at least help him dig through his deck a little bit, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, and it's not costing him life to do it, so he's a happy man about that at the very least. Yeah, this persistent specimen, again, a card that's just like the sack deck wasn't great in Crimson Vow, so that card I found didn't really get a chance to like really shine. But looking pretty nice here.
I'm looking through Joaquin's pool to see where he's gonna find this last point. He does have a ragged playmate, so that could make something unblockable.
Yeah, that could do it. I mean, he's
Uh,
black red, right? Like these colors do have ways to do this.
yep.
Yeah, so he's doing a little dance again here with the skeleton. All right, well he's drawn a card he can cast. It's a 0/5 for 2 mana, and with the clue he's drawn a card he cannot cast. So we're on the majority of the hand uncastable. I mean, there's also just a strategy of Joaquin just has more creatures in play than Dan, right? Like
Yeah.
if he out creatures him by one, then it's a win because Dan can't cast removal.
How about a menace creature?
Yeah, that'd probably be it. I mean, he could flash in the turtle, but the turtle is not going to be enough here. All right, he's drawing another land. He's going to crack the clue. Yeah, the Maddening Hex. I mean, this game has been basically defined for Maddening Hex. Um,
Absolutely.
like I said, I believe it dealt 12 or 13 damage just on its own. Yeah, this is yeah, the Valgavoth Onslaught was not quite enough here. Just yeah, just we
How
found
about
the
another
perfect
one power creature?
we found just the perfect silver bullet here. Just this bizarre card that is probably I mean I've never seen it in play. Like I said, I think I saw it in a draft like a couple weeks ago. The format had already been out for like a few weeks, and I had never even come across the card because it's so rare. It shows up so rarely in the packs. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
mean,
had to read it. Wow, he gets there.
crazy card, crazy game. Wow, that is it's become a bit of a cliche, but I mean that was a memorable moment, I would say.
Absolutely.
All right, so it looks like he wants. I think he's just stacking, going through his deck and sideboard ways to remove enchantments because like you just cannot like if that's resolved in like almost any point in the game he cannot win because his deck is like basically solely dependent on non-creature spells. Like looking through his deck, he has like almost no creatures, like no actual creature cards. He has the
Yeah,
he has the
with it
turtle which
with
he took out. He has Flood Pitch Drowner, Fear of Isolation. That's literally it.
yeah, and Joaquin still has a lot of. He's still got the 4 Final Vengeances. He's got more removal in here, and he's got 2 drops that I think he should probably. He's on the draw now, but
Yeah, so
it's
he's at 20 something non-creature spells in his deck. Entire deck. I mean, Joaquin figured, okay, it's probably good. I don't think he even realized how good it would be. Right? There's no way he could put his opponent on a deck that had 2 creatures in it.
yeah,
It looks like
and
he's
and
bringing in both copies of Revoke Existence from the sideboard, which is the
okay,
Theros 1 and a white. It's just exile, an artifact or enchantment, sorcery. So he's
would be
basically figured
important.
out it's just Banishing Light and 2 Revoke Existence as answers to enchantments and counterspells.
So Joaquin submitted. He added a Baelmerk Leech and dropped a Vengeance. So just a 2 drop.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, so Dan, I think what he took out the Extracted Confession, which is like the Edict effect. So not very good against Joaquin's deck. So pretty astute conclusion to get rid of that one. Yeah, so he's at 3 creatures and 27 non-creatures in his deck. He's got Unstoppable Slasher, Flood Pitch Drowner, Fear of Isolation. He had the turtle, but he took it out. He said, you know what, four four was too many creatures, just too many.
Yeah. Who's got the time?
Yeah, very unique deck. Like I said, I don't think I would have the vision to be able to build a deck that was structured like this, but it works for him. He likes it. We saw it really excel in game one, and I mean, if not for that maddening hex in game two, he would have just been killing everything left and right and drawing cards and winning. But it was not to be. He was hexed.
Yeah, absolutely. Last time I played Dan, I was locked out of the game by turn 8 or something, and probably before that. I just knew I was locked out by then.
Yeah, the thing about his deck, and I like Dan, but when this deck works, it is like absolutely miserable to play against. Like you just don't want to. I'm just like, please stop. Like, do I get to do anything ever? Just so much cheap interaction and card draw. Like that's the whole deck is cheap interaction and card draw, and sprinkle in a few win cons and
Ooh.
enough card
All
draw
right.
to find them every game.
So Joaquin
What's back?
kept a one lander
Uh
on
oh.
the
Oh
play. Ooh, he got
yeah.
number 2.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
He's gonna have to cycle the beastie to get a mountain, but
Yeah, it's not a move I can usually endorse, but yeah, sometimes you just gotta make the risk and calculated risk, right? Like when it pays off, his hand must be pretty good then. I'm guessing.
well, so he's got this undead sprinter. He's got a pointed discussion, a spectral snatcher, and betrayer's bargain and a mountain.
So not that great.
Nope.
Dan's reading this card. What does it do? Trample haste. Can I kill it? Yes. Perfect. So what is this card? Do I care? Okay. Get rid of it. Yeah, so in hand for Dan here, he has a Banishing Light, which he may be holding very close to the chest for that one particular card. But he's
Hmm.
got the Demonic Council again. He's got a Kaito, which is could be. I wouldn't say Kaito's like a win con, but it's quite nice card. His deck is not going to make use of it as well as most other decks because he's not going to be ninjutsuing it most of the time.
Right.
He's got Deduce and Ichthyomorphosis. We got a little draw 2, lose 2 here from Crimson Vow.
Yeah, and the blood token, as always, is great. He's gonna be able to pitch an extra swamp and see if he can find some action.
Yeah, I mean, like without Maddening Hex, this matchup is going to be favoring Dan. I would say a good portion of the time, but yeah, maybe he'll draw the Maddening Hex. All right, he's got his tutor target in hand already now with the Valgavoth Onslaught here. And the thing is, like, Joaquin's creatures are like pretty small, so it's like even if he is like quote unquote curving out, which I mean he isn't, but even if he is, it's like creatures are small, so like his life isn't going to be getting taken huge chunks out of.
Yeah, and Joaquin's gonna really have no way of dealing with this planeswalker either.
Yeah, this is more one that just gives you like a bunch of value rather than like absolutely warps the game. But I mean, it is good, no doubt about it.
Well, he does. He has a Razorhead Horde Collar here, so he can
Okay, well, he says Kaito, let's get rid of that here.
take that mini game out of the running.
Yeah, I mean Kaito is like best utilized in like more of like a tempo-y deck where you actually can ninja it, but still good, still good the rest of the time too. Right, so we got a fish now. He turned it into a fish.
Okay, so we got a Glimmerlight in hand. So he's deciding he's just gonna attack, and then he's gonna play the Spectral Snatcher second main.
Yeah, I imagine that might bring up the banishing light from Dan here, even with the discard. Still probably worth it here. And he's on another card draw spell. Imagine that. got a Omen of the Sea now. So he's thinking, I want to use my Banishing Light, but then he's thinking, what if the Maddening Hexes gets drawn?
Yeah, and do you want to get your card draw spells in now in case it's coming down?
Okay, so he's putting a counterspell to the bottom, which is interesting.
Hmm.
I guess he just he tapped both his blue sources, which Arena does that sometimes.
Yeah, sure does.
Okay, he said, yeah, I'm
Yep.
just gonna use a Banishing Light. If he draws the hex, oops, basically. Yes, he does have the Demonic Council in hand, a Delirium of 3. Whenever he casts Valgalas Onslaught, it will almost assuredly give him the full Delirium to then tutor the turn after. Yeah, so by my count, he can just do a modest X equals 2, but we've seen he likes to go bigger than that, if he can.
And Joaquin sitting over here with a removal spell for each creature in Dan's deck. 3.
Yeah, well, Valgamoth Onslaught, you can just, I suppose he'll just kill all of them. That's how that works. Yeah, another advantage of this is basically a straight up control deck. Another advantage is that like you invalidate a lot of your opponent's removal, right? Like
Here,
I know in
I got a treat for
constructed,
you
like
here, Richard.
people,
I got
yeah,
a treat for you.
we are. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's gonna be really hard to win. I mean, he can resolve his Valgavoth Onslaught, but if those creatures get removed and the game goes like much further, then it's not gonna be great. But yeah, like I know, like in constructed, when people are playing against control decks, they just immediately side out all of their removal. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like people playing, black decks and white removal and stuff. They just immediately just side it out because it's invalidated. But I mean, Joaquin, I don't think he knows how extreme the deck building is with lack of creatures. But I mean, he knew enough to know that the Maddening Hex is going to give Dan fits, and this may be the hex that hexes him out of the league, perhaps, since like we mentioned at the outset, it is a death match. Both players on 10 losses.
It would be pretty wild. And yeah, getting this the onslaught down every game does sort of give you the impression that there's more creatures going on than there actually are, too.
I mean, he sees Valgavoth Onslaught as like one of his very few win cons.
Of course, yeah.
So he's scrying 2 here, and it's both our creature cards. So
Okay.
somehow he's found his 2 of his 3 creatures are sitting here on top: the Flood Pits Drowner and the Fear of Isolation. He could actually Fear of Isolation, pick up the Banishing Light, and Banishing Light the Maddening Axe, I guess.
Okay.
That's a thing that could be done. It
It's
would give his opponent
interesting.
back a 6/5, but at least he'd be able to play Magic in the meantime.
Yeah, I
Looks like
mean, if
he's dumping both. Okay, looks like he's dumping
oh,
both. I think he
so interesting.
I think he's gonna try and win with the onslaught here. I mean, he's making 3 creatures. I think he went to X equals 4, but he's now realizing he does not have 9. Ah, whew, he took the maximum
So full
damage.
6. Wow.
And his Revoke Existence has been manifested, which he does have the tutor in his hand, which is live now. So he's gonna need these 5/5s to basically pull the weight, because casting another spell could kill him. I mean, he took the full 6. Yeah, this I'm gonna
And
be.
Joaquin can remove all of these right now.
I mean, this card is now higher than a 0 to me. I'll say. I don't think it's a card I'll be looking to play very much, but in the right matchup, just absolutely game warping. Yeah, get rid of that. I assume that these 5/5s are just gonna die.
I think that's what you do.
How much can you
Uh,
remove? How many more can you remove?
all of them. He's got another vengeance and a betrayer's bargain, but he's gonna go wide here, I guess, instead.
Okay, we got to shatter this guy here, which I mean, he can try and cast it, but it seems like he's just dead. Like this is absolutely maddening, as the card says. This is like
Absolutely.
if you told me we were going to
Another
see maddening hex be cast against a deck with 3 creature spells in it, I would have said, on what planet are we living where one person has a maddening hex in their deck and the other person is running only 3 creatures? Well, this is this is the situation.
pretty wild.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, very very frustrating experience for Dan,
Yeah, I'm sure it'd
but
be very frustrating.
this one niche bizarre card that by all means really shouldn't have been in the set to start with is here and taking over the game. So congratulations to Joaquin. He not only stays alive, but he gets to battle the demon Vagavoth. So we'll have that for you very shortly.